BNP busy in hashing out conspiracy to make elections questionable, as they know people will not vote for them, says Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina.
তারা জানে ইলেকশন করে তারা কোনদিন ক্ষমতাও যেতে পারবে না, জনগণের ভোটও পাবে না, কিন্তু ইলেকশনটাকে প্রশ্নবিদ্ধ করা আর ইলেকশন যাতে না হয় তার জন্য যত রকমের চক্রান্ত করা, এই চক্রান্তে তারা লিপ্ত।
BNP gets frustrated when month of August comes as they fear to face truth. Obaidul Qadir raises question about 6 birthdays of Khalida Zia. Prime Minister to inaugurate universal pension scheme tomorrow. People to enjoy lifetime pension benefits from age of 60 and above by contributing fixed amounts. 24th session of 11th Jatiyo Shangshud to begin on September the 3rd. Ukrainian first cargo ship exits Black Sea port via new corridor despite threats from Russia. And England beat Australia 3-1 in Sydney to reach their first ever Women's World Cup final. Assalamu alaikum. Those were the headlines of tonight's news at 10 on BTV and BTV World. I'm Mahmoud Rahman. Let's move on now to the details.
গ্রামে গ্রামে বহুমুখী কোঅপারেটিভ করা হবে। 5 বছর প্ল্যানে বাংলাদেশের 65,000 গ্রামে একটা করে কোঅপারেটিভ হবে প্রত্যেক গ্রামে গ্রামে।
Prime Minister and Awami League President Sheikh Hasina said that the BNP knows they won't come to power through election by securing people's votes. BNP, the party of killers, a father of the nation, which is involved in terrorism, militancy, bombing and grenade attacks, knows that they will never come to power through elections and they will not get the votes of the people. That is why they are engaged in conspiracy to make the election questionable and foil the election, she said. The Premier said this while chairing the commemorative discussion meeting organised by Awami League marking the National Mourning Day 2023 in the city's Bangabandhu International Conference Centre this afternoon. In her speech, the Prime Minister also alleged that the secret motive of some foreign countries is to hinder the progress of Bangladesh and use the Bay of Bengal behind their interest in the election and democracy of this country. Sheikh Hasina said their purpose is neither arrangement of an election nor democracy. They want to create obstacles on the development journey of Bangladesh. It is the reality, she added.
হঠাৎ এবারের ইলেকশনের সময় তারা যেন খুব বেশি উতলা হয়ে পড়ল, আর নির্বাচনের একেবারে দাড়ি কমা সেমিকোলন কোথায় কি কিভাবে হবে তাই নিয়ে সব থেকে বেশি এবং একের পর এক তাদের লোকজন আসা শুরু করলো। কেন? কারণটা কি? কারণ আর বিএনপি তাদের এখন চোখের মণি। যে বিএনপি এত মানুষ হত্যা করেছে, জাতির পিতার হত্যার সঙ্গে জড়িত, যে বিএনপির দ্বারা কয়েকদিন আগে তো আগুন দিয়েছে, অগ্নি সন্ত্রাস করে মানুষ হত্যা করলো। আজকে যখন এত বেশি আমরা দেখি নির্বাচন নিয়ে কথা, যখন আমরা আইন করে ইলেকশন কমিশন গঠন করেছি, আর খালেদা যে সেই আজিজ বার্কা বা সাইদ বার্কা নির্বাচন কমিশন তো না, 1,23,00,000 ভুয়া ভোটার নিয়ে যখন তারা ইলেকশন করার চেষ্টা করেছে, তখন এইসব চেতনা আমরা দেখি নাই, তখন এত কথাও শুনি নাই। আজকে ডেমোক্রেসির কথা বলে, ডেমোক্রেসি কি? আমি আমেরিকায় যখন গিয়েছিলাম, আমি তো তাদেরকে স্টেট ডিপার্টমেন্টে ওদের সঙ্গে আমার কথা হয়, তখন আমি জিজ্ঞেস করেছিলাম যে আমি একটা মনুমেন্ট দেখে আসলাম যেখানে লেখা গভর্নমেন্ট অফ দি পিপুল, বাই দি পিপুল, ফর দি পিপুল। আর আমি একটা দেশ থেকে এসেছি যেখানে গভর্নমেন্ট অফ দি আর্মি, বাই দি আর্মি, ফর দি আর্মি, জেনারেল। তা আপনারা তাদেরকে সাপোর্ট দেন কিভাবে? আপনাদের গণতন্ত্র কি ওই আটলান্টিকের পার পর্যন্তই থাকে? আটলান্টিক পার হলেই আপনাদের গণতন্ত্রের সংজ্ঞা কি বদলে যায়? আজকে সেই যে বিএনপি সন্ত্রাসী সংগঠন হিসেবে আন্তর্জাতিকভাবে পরিচিত, যাদের হাতে আমার বাবা মা ভাইয়ের রক্তের দাগ, আর তাদের জন্য তারা উতলা হয়ে পড়ে, আজকে তাদের নিয়ে ক্ষমতায় বসাতেই হবে। আসলে ক্ষমতায় বসানো না, এখানে আমি একটা কথা সবাইকে খুব ব্যর্থহীনভাবে বলে রাখি, এদের উদ্দেশ্য এখানে নির্বাচন না, এদের উদ্দেশ্য গণতন্ত্র না। এরা একটা জিনিসই করতে চায়, আজকে যে বাংলাদেশের গণতন্ত্রের ভিত্তিটা আমরা মজবুত করেছি, জনগণের ভোটের অধিকার নিশ্চিত করেছি, বাংলাদেশের মানুষের আর্থসামাজিক উন্নতি হচ্ছে, বাংলাদেশের এই উন্নয়নটার পথে এরা প্রতিবন্ধকতা সৃষ্টি করতে চায়। এটাই হচ্ছে বাস্তবতা। বিএনপির মুখে নির্বাচনের কথা আসে কোত্থেকে? ভোট চুরির অপরাধে ওই খালেদা জিয়া দুইবার ক্ষমতাচ্যুত, 96-তে একবার 15 ফেব্রুয়ারি ইলেকশন, আর একবার 2006 সালের সেই জানুয়ারির ইলেকশন। তারপরে তাদের মুখ থেকে আবার গণতন্ত্রের কথা। আসল কথা, ওরা তো নির্বাচন চায় না, কারণ ওরা জানে যে ওরা কাহিনী নির্বাচন করবে। তাদের দুই নেতা, একজনও এটিএমের অর্থ আত্মসাতের মামলায় সাজাপ্রাপ্ত, আর একজনের বিরুদ্ধে তো মানি লন্ডারিং, 10 টাকা অস্ত্র মামলা, খুন, বিয়াকুচা গ্রেনেড হামলা, সব কিছুতে সাজাপ্রাপ্ত, পলাতক, মুচলেখা দিয়ে দেশ থেকে চলে গেছে যে আর কোনদিন রাজনীতি করবো না। এখন ওখানে বসে বসে বড় বড় কথা বলে, আর বলে টাকা কত লাগবে, লোক নিয়ে আসেন। টাকা তো কত টাকা দেশের মানুষের চুরি করে নিয়ে গেছে বিদেশে, একবার চিন্তা করে দেখেন। সেই চোরাদের কাছ থেকে এই তারাই এখন জনগণের ভাগ্য নিয়ে খেলতে চায়। জাতির পিতার হত্যাকারী, সন্ত্রাসী, জঙ্গিবাদ সৃষ্টিকারী, বোমা হামলাকারী, গ্রেনেড হামলাকারী ওই বিএনপি। তারা জানে ইলেকশন করে তারা কোনদিন ক্ষমতাও যেতে পারবে না, জনগণের ভোটও পাবে না। কিন্তু ইলেকশনটাকে প্রশ্নবিদ্ধ করা আর ইলেকশন যাতে না হয় তার জন্য যত রকমের চক্রান্ত করা, এই চক্রান্তে তারা লিপ্ত।
Addressing the discussion organised by Bangladesh Awami League marking the National Mourning Day, Party General Secretary Obaidul Qadir said BNP leaders' demeanour dries up as the month of August comes by. He questioned the validity of Khaleda Zia's 6 birthdays.
আগস্ট মাস এলে বিএনপি নেতাদের চোখ মুখ শুকিয়ে যায়, সত্যের মুখোমুখি হতে তারা ভয় পায়। ইতিহাসের অনেক প্রশ্ন আছে, সে প্রশ্নের জবাব বারবার চেয়েও তাদের কাছে পাইনি। কুখ্যাত পঞ্চম সংশোধনী জিয়াউর রহমান এই সংশোধনী এনেছিল বঙ্গবন্ধুর খুনিদের বিচার বন্ধ করতে। আজকে প্রশ্ন করি, হঠাৎ করে 15ই আগস্ট খালেদা জিয়ার জন্মদিবস, বিএনপিকে জিজ্ঞেস করি একজন মানুষের কয়টা জন্মদিবস থাকে?
The discussion was also addressed by Awami League Advisory Council member Amir Hussain Amu, members of the Presidium Sheikh Fezlul Karim Salim, Advocate Kamrul Islam and Jahangir Kobin Nanok, Joint General Secretary Dr. Deepu Moni, Organising Secretary S.M. Kamal Hussain, Working Committee member Tarana Halim, Dhaka South City Awami League General Secretary Humayun Kabir and Dhaka North City Awami League General Secretary S.M. Mannan Kochi. The function was moderated by Awami League Publicity and Publication Secretary Dr. Abdul Subhan Golab and Deputy Publicity and Publication Secretary Sayyid Abdul Awal Shamim. The speakers urged all to forge united resistance against those trying to take Bangladesh towards destruction. The 24th session of the 11th Jatiyo সংসদ will begin on September the 3rd. A press release of Parliament Secretariat today said President Mohammad Shahabuddin has summoned the session, exercising the powers conferred on him by Clause 1 of Article 72 of the Constitution. Speaker Dr. Shirin Sharmin Chaudhry has said Bangabandhu established the Bengali as a self-respecting nation in the world map. She said Bangabandhu has prepared the path of a better life that the new generation is dreaming of, moving towards an enlightened future. She said this while addressing a discussion meeting and Dua Mahfil organized by Bangladesh Administrative Service Association, marking the 48th martyrdom anniversary of Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and the National Mourning Day at Bayam Foundation Auditorium in the capital today. Shipping Ministry Secretary and Bangladesh Administrative Service Association President Mustafa Kamal presided over the function, while lawmaker Mahiuddin Khan Alamgir, State Minister for Public Administration Farhad Hussain, Cabinet Secretary Mohammad Mahbub Hussain, Public Administration Ministry Senior Secretary Mohammad Mesbauddin Chaudhry, and Secretary General of the Association and Additional Secretary of Industry Ministry S.M. Alam spoke on the occasion. Prime Minister's Principal Secretary Tufazzal Hussain Mia addressed the function as the Chief Speaker. Dr. Shirin Sharmin Chaudhry said that to know the history of this country, the new generation has to go back to its roots and understand all the struggles organized from 1952 to 1971. Later prayers were offered seeking eternal peace of the departed souls of Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and other martyrs. The much-awaited Universal Pension Scheme is going to be inaugurated tomorrow. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is expected to inaugurate it virtually. People of four categories, such as expatriate Bangladeshis, employees of the private sector, employees of the informal sector, and the insolvent, will be included in the pension scheme initially. The monthly donation or installment has been fixed at between Taka 500 and 10,000. As many as 4 pension schemes titled Pragati, Suraksha, Shamata and Probashi will be introduced for the people of these 4 categories. Employees of the private sector will come under the Pragati scheme, self-employed people will be included in the Suraksha scheme, while Shamata will be applicable for the low-income group and expatriate Bangladesh will come under Probashi scheme. The amount of monthly donation for the Pragati and Suraksha has been fixed at Taka 1,000 to Taka 10,000. In the Probashi scheme, the amount of monthly donation has been fixed at Taka between 5,000 and 10,000. In the Shamata scheme, monthly donation for insolvent people has been fixed at Taka 500. People aged between 18 and 50 years will be able to include themselves in the Universal Pension Scheme. In addition, people aged above 50 years will also be able to get into the pension scheme. All will be entitled to pension benefits after uninterrupted payment of donations for 10 years. People will be able to pay donation from their homes through an app. Those who want to be included in the Universal Pension Scheme have to be registered first. People from different sections have welcomed the initiative to introduce the Universal Pension Scheme. The Higher Secondary Certificate HSC examination will begin tomorrow. Examinations of Chattogram Education Board, Bangladesh Madrasa Education Board and Bangladesh Technical Education Board have been deferred due to natural calamity. The examinations of these 3 boards will begin from August the 27th instead of 17th. A total of 13,59,342 students from 11 education boards will appear in the HSC and equivalent examinations this year. 2,658 examination centres were prepared across the country for the examinations. This year, the number of examinees was increased by 1,55,935, while 9 examination centres were increased. Military representatives from 7 countries working in Dhaka paid rich tributes to Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, marking his 48th martyrdom anniversary and National Mourning Day. The military representatives from Australia, China, India, Indonesia, Nepal, Russia and the United States, led by the Director General of Forces Intelligence, DGFI, Major General Hamidul Haq, paid glowing tributes to the Father of the Nation by placing a wreath and his portrait in front of Bangabandhu Memorial Museum at Dhanmondi in the capital this morning. While briefing journalists after paying homage, Major General Hamidul Haq said the history of Bangladesh and its emergence on the global map is a wonder to the whole world. The military representatives later went around the Bangabandhu Memorial Museum and signed the visitors' book. The dengue situation in the country is worsening day by day. A press release of the Directorate General of Health Services said 9 more dengue patients died in the last 24 hours. Of them, 6 were in Dhaka and 3 were outside Dhaka. 2,149 dengue patients were admitted to different hospitals across the country during the last 24 hours. Among them, 834 dengue patients were hospitalized in Dhaka city and 1,315 patients outside Dhaka. Meanwhile, no patient died of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. The country reported 26 COVID-19 positive cases as 1,057 tested in the last 24 hours. Corona infection rate was reported at 2.46%. On now to some international news. Ukraine has said the first cargo ship to use new Black Sea shipping lanes had exited a southern Ukrainian port despite threats from Russia that its navy could target vessels leaving Ukraine. Meanwhile, grain silos and warehouses were hit during successive Russian drone attacks on one of the country's Danube River ports, located near the border with Romania. Ukraine has 2 main ports on the Danube, Reni and Izmail, which have become central to the country's grain exports since Russia's blockade of Ukraine's Black Sea ports and Moscow's recent withdrawal from a United Nations-backed agreement that had allowed grain stock safe passage through the sea. Reports from the warfield say Ukrainian forces had liberated the settlement of Urozhain in the industrial Donetsk region as part of a grinding push to wrest control from Russian forces along the southern front in Ukraine. NATO member Poland held its biggest military parade since the Cold War in an event that marked victory over Soviet forces in 1920 and showcased the country's state-of-the-art weaponry as war rages in neighboring Ukraine and defense takes center stage ahead of parliamentary elections scheduled for October. The Armed Forces Day parade on Tuesday marked the 103rd anniversary of Poland's victory over the Soviet Union's Red Army in the Battle of Warsaw in 1920, during which Polish troops defeated Bolshevik forces advancing on Europe. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine has made boosting the Polish armed forces a priority for the country's ruling Nationalist Law and Justice, PIS. With the country's election campaign in full swing, the immense display of military hardware on Tuesday provided a chance for the government to promote its security credentials. Chinese and Indian military commanders have pledged to maintain the peace and tranquility along their disputed border in an apparent effort by the two sides to stabilize the situation after a rise in tensions. The two countries' defense ministries issued identical statements late on Tuesday, saying the 19th round of commander-level talks held on Sunday and Monday have produced a positive, constructive and in-depth discussion centered on resolving issues related to the line of actual control in the border's western sector. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin on Wednesday praised the talks held at the Indian Army post in the town of Chushulmoldo and highlighted the two sides' commitment to maintain the momentum of communication and dialogue through military and diplomatic channels. At least 17 Niger soldiers have been killed in an attack by armed groups near the border with Mali, the country's Ministry of Defense said. Another 20 soldiers had been injured in the attack, with all of them evacuated to Niamey, the capital. More than 100 assailants were neutralized during their retreat, the army said. In the last decade, the border area where central Mali, northern Burkina Faso and western Niger converge has become the epicenter of violence by armed groups linked to al-Qaeda and ISIS in the Sahel region. Myanmar authorities have arrested nearly 150 Rohingyas suspected of trying to flee the country. The Rohingyas are seen in Myanmar as interlopers from Bangladesh. They are denied citizenship and required permission to travel. The military launched a crackdown on Rohingyas in 2017, and thousands now risk their lives each year making perilous journeys from camps in Bangladesh and Myanmar to reach Muslim-majority Malaysia and Indonesia. The 127 Rohingya men and 18 women were arrested on Friday near the village of Waikami in southern Mon state. Myanmar is facing genocide accusations at the United Nations top court following the 2017 crackdown which sent hundreds of thousands to Bangladesh. Now some other international news in brief. United Nations agencies are warning that the number of Sudanese refugees in neighbouring countries has surpassed 1 million, and the lack of food and vital services within the country is killing people.
Water every day at the transit center, and where we are right now we don't have adequate shelter.
Gun battles between two leading armed groups in the Libyan capital Tripoli have killed 27 people and wounded 106, a toll update from the Emergency Medicine Centre said today. The death toll from a landslide at a resort town in northwestern Georgia has risen to 26. Search operations are ongoing for 7 people still missing from the August 3rd landslide around Shovi, a small resort in the Caucasus nation's northwest. A week after wildfires ravaged Hawaii's resort town of Lahaina, search and rescue efforts on Maui Island continue, with officials saying that the death toll has risen to 106.
A different foreign partner.
Cash-strapped Sri Lanka announced on Tuesday it was scrapping a $3.85 billion deal to build an oil refinery that was set to become the island's largest foreign investment.
The Chinese-managed southern port of Hambantota.
Chinese ambassador to Bangladesh, Yao Wen, has said China will continue its cooperation with Bangladesh in the days ahead. The envoy said this as he called on Planning Minister M.A. Mannan at his Agargao office in the capital. Higher officials of the Planning Ministry and the Chinese Embassy in Dhaka were present at the meeting. The Planning Minister said he discussed with the ambassador duty-free export and import with China and the increase of Chinese cooperation in the infrastructural development of Bangladesh. M.A. Mannan also thanked China for its cooperation in the development of the country. Now weather. The Met Office, in its weather forecast till 6 p.m. tomorrow, said light to moderate rain or thundershowers accompanied by temporary gusty wind is likely to occur at many places over Rangpur, Rajshahi, Mymensingh, Chattogram and Sylhet divisions, and at a few places over Dhaka, Khulna and Borishal divisions. Besides, moderately heavy to heavy falls are likely to occur at places over the country. Day temperature may rise slightly and night temperature may remain nearly unchanged over the country, said the Met Office. Now news on sports. England beat hosts Australia 3-1 to reach the final of the FIFA Women's World Cup for the first time. Ella Toney, Lauren Hemp and Alicia Russo scored 1 goal each for England in the Champions League winners Manchester City will face Europa League winner Sevilla in the UEFA Super Cup final tonight. The match will start at 1 a.m. Bangladesh Standard Time in Greece. Manchester City are playing in the final of the Super Cup for the first time, while Sevilla for the 7th time. To wind up the bulletin, here once again are the main points. BNP busy in hatching out conspiracy to make elections questionable as they know people will not vote for them, says Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. BNP gets frustrated when month of August comes as they fear to face truth. Obaidul Qadir raises questions about 6 birthdays of Khaleda Zia. Prime Minister to inaugurate universal pension scheme tomorrow. People to enjoy lifetime pension benefits from age of 60 and above by contributing fixed amounts. 24th session of the 11th Jatiyo Shangshad to begin on September the 3rd. Ukrainian first cargo ship exits Black Sea port via new corridor despite threats from Russia. And England beat Australia 3-1 in Sydney to reach their first ever Women's World Cup final. That's all from the newsroom for now. Thank you for being with us. If you can, please do join us for our 11:30 news in Bangla. Until then, Khuda Hafiz.